of talking to Pastor Denis again. Hello there. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You bet. Well, if y'all missed it, we were together on Monday and talk about a show full of energy and insights and lessons and valuable little nuggets. You need to go back and watch it if you haven't watched it yet. But I do manage to have one more question for Pastor Denis, and I have a story about him that I know is really good that I'm going to get him to share. So, Pastor Denis, my question to you is, if you could tell your younger self, if you could give that person one piece of advice, what would you tell him?
Oh, the biggest advice that I would give myself if I would have a chance to go back to my younger version of myself, I would say, Dennis, learn to really listen to people, to pay attention, to really give them your undivided attention when they're sharing something, especially if you feel they're sharing their heart. Just listen. It took me years to understand that sometimes just the presence of someone really given to them is the biggest gift of life, because people are bombarded with information today. They interact with a lot of people very superficially. Very rarely they would have someone's presence and someone's full attention. And that becomes the huge channel of grace of God, because as you give your presence for real, God begins often to minister through your presence, His presence. And I've seen miracles taking place when you just do that. It doesn't seem like you're doing much, but you're doing so much. You make yourself available to another human being and to God, and you become a conduit. You become a channel of God's grace. It's amazing. Just start practicing that. You will experience God doing that. That's my advice to my younger version of myself and to anyone today. Even if you're like 80 years old and you haven't learned that, learn to do that. It's amazing.
I couldn't agree with you more. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking back to my husband and I were traveling last Thursday, and we were in an airport and with another couple we love. And I remember thinking, everybody's like this. And
Yep.
before the phone, you were looking at people, you might be talking to somebody, you were engaging with the world. And we have every occasion to engage with something other than the world. And it's like that person's right there. Give them 100%. That's huge. I'm going to be real thoughtful for that for the next forever, I hope. That's good. I like it. Okay, now I also happen to know you have a really neat story around trying to decide about marrying your wife. So would you mind sharing that?
Yes, in a sense, it's very unorthodox story, because I heard the opposite kind of stories from people when God showed them, this is the one that you need to marry. And I kind of assumed this about myself, that God's going to show me. Well, a little background. I was a typical teenager, about 17 years old, or no. That back then I was a little older, maybe 19 years old. And I had a lot of whatever those chemicals are called in your blood that make you fall in love with the people of opposite sex. I had a lot of those in my bloodstream, because I would fall in love with any girl in our church that would give me a little bit of attention. So I was one of those. Was I fell in love with this girl that later became my wife. I didn't know that at the time, but I was another bit of background. Since I was raised up by a single mom, I never had a father figure in my life, and nobody really taught me what responsibility is in my life. So I learned to grow as a street smart kid, often in a mode of fight or flight mode, and never really learning what responsibility is. So here I am. I'm in love with this girl. I go with the flow. I know this feeling. It's very nice. You don't have to think. You just follow this feeling and you know. But I decided to become spiritual one day, and every day I would travel about 2 hours to see her. I would be on the phone constantly talking to her. I was in love. And then before I went to get a train to go and see her, I decided, I'm going to go to the woods to pray to God, to ask God this question: is she the one, or shall I look for someone else? And I went to the woods and I began this interaction with God, and I began to pray, and I raised this question before Him: is she the one, or shall I look for someone else? And I did not see that coming. He answered me. He responded, and he said, "You tell me. You tell me if she is the one, or..." And I was like, "What?" And I was shocked. And I knew one thing: I cannot leave this spot without answering God.
Mm.
If God asks you a question, you don't ignore it. And I knew that before I leave this little place, I need to tell Him, yes, she is the one, or no, she is not the one. And I need to stop talking to her. And it was tough. I, I, I don't remember making such decisions of such magnitude in my life. And I couldn't understand, how in the world can I say things definitely about the future outcomes that I have no control over right now? Like, how?
Mm.
And that's exactly was the essence. I had to give a response to God, to become responsible. I said, okay, Lord, it took me a few minutes, but it felt like eternity. But I felt like, okay, I'm going to say, yes, this is her. This is the one. And I said this. 30 some years later, I'm here with her, happy family and everything. But I have never seen so many blessings and the hand of God supporting this decision of responsibility that I made before Him. Not before people, but before Him. And that was the lesson. My God, as my daddy, as my heavenly Father, was teaching me personally. He was teaching me what responsibility is. And that's very precious to me. That's my life experience that I share with everybody. And God is very real. And that's how He became more of a real father to me at that moment.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's like it's on your shoulders.
Yeah,
You're
but at the same time, He blessed me so much. When I made this decision, I just see I saw His hand over and over and over and over again. Everything that had to do with proposal, with wedding preparation, with talking to her relatives, with everything. I didn't know how to navigate all these things. It was uncharted territory for me, and
Yeah.
God was with me because Him and I and Him, God and I, we talked about it. We made decisions. We agreed upon certain things. And He said, I'm going to be with you if you take responsibility. I'm going to bless your decision. Whether you would say no or yes, I'm going to be with you. And I saw Him being with me. I still see Him being with me in this area.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, you're planning a new church in Florida. What's the town again?
The town is called Northport.
Northport. Okay.
Northport. It's in Sarasota County. It's about 40 minutes away from Sarasota. It's near. It's about 2 hours away from Naples. There's a town called Venice around here. Northport, Port Charlotte. It's fun. It's on the side of the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America. I don't know which name is official right now.
Yeah. So, did you get to have were you back home in Ohio for the winter, or did you get Florida for the winter?
I got to experience some snow in 2025, but then we moved in November of 2025, and then it started. Ohio got a lot of snow this year, so I was so glad I'm in Florida. It just you go outside and you feel this wonderful weather, and then you think, oh, it's February. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. So I love it so far.
Good, good. Well, thank you for being on. We'll definitely get together again soon. And I'll have information in the show notes if people want to give to your ministry or want to sign up for your newsletter.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Marsha. You're a wonderful, wonderful woman of God.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.